1. Almost. We're live, and we already have 2 likes.
Really?
That's a good tradition. While I'm preparing everything for recording, we have a little bit of a dip. So in total, for the first week of the podcast, we have like 300 listeners, I think. Mm-hmm. There was more for previous episodes. So I was hoping we will get to thousands quite fast, but I don't know. It's fluctuate. But this is a goal.
Could be seasonal.
Could be seasonal. Yes. Or we're just getting older. Okay, this one is done. Okay, recording ready. Let me start clicking button. 3, 2, 1.
Music.
Yep. Stop. Nope, the wrong music. Nope. Oh, yes. Now, the second one. 3, 2, 1. I finally clicked the right button. Yeah, welcome to the Non-Intuitive Bit podcast, brought to you by the Leaders Club, that you also part to if you are listening to us. But as usual, do consider elevating your membership status by joining Discord channel. We are actually playing games there, chatting time to time. And today with me in the studio, Dmitry Mananikov. Say hi to people.
Hello.
And as usual, the most annoying voice would be me, Slava Kovalevsky. And with that, I have a show notes, but I forgot where is my window of the Firefox.
You really got me with the edit funk music. For people who it's a kind of insider joke, but Slava's show started with the music from another podcast he's making.
Yes.
I didn't really notice what's wrong.
Yes, same for me, I just get habit, and it's only 2 songs. I managed to to put the wrong one. It's okay. So I want to quickly start with one topic that I forgot to close last time. It's a little bit late, but I still want to close on it before starting anything else new. It will be the fast one about Silent Hill, because I really forgot to tell everyone about Silent Hill Session. For everyone who doesn't know, this is a game that they have started based on the Silent Hill universe, and they started it recently on the Halloween, so it actually was out before our previous episode, and unfortunately I forgot to cover it. So obviously I'm a huge fan of Silent Hill, and I played from the day zero. I was there refreshing the browser on the very, very day zero to see when it started. So the idea of the game, they each day releasing you a very small short video, and then asking you as a community what to do per character in this video. They would ask a question.
Do you play it on the phone or PC or anywhere? Or it's a web browser?
Anywhere. So web browser, phones. I actually don't know if you can install on a PC or a console, but web browser plus phones. So this is the main platform. Now let me actually try to find it in YouTube. So TLDR, it's a horrible piece of garbage. I really cannot emphasize this enough. I want to find episode 1, for example. Oh yes, they have something on the YouTube. Okay, ads, because I'm not logging here. But here is the TLDR. Everything is bad. Graphic is bad. So these small episodes have the horrible graphics, which would be fine if you have a nice plot. The plot is horrible. I watched first several episodes. I don't care about the characters. I don't care what they do. I don't care about anything. So this is, so I'm showing right now the graphics. So for the pre-made videos, like Alan Wake 2 is better looking than what they're showing here.
I'm surprised they just didn't get real actors to do it. It would be even easier, especially if you're changing on the fly.
I agree with you. I actually, you know what? I'm not no. I retract my statement, because with real actors, if you're changing the fly, you have to have actors available to you for the duration of this.
You just hire them for a month and work with them.
But this project is almost for half a year, so
okay, I guess it makes sense. Yes, I probably also made some assets and some scenes up front, I believe.
I think so, and especially in the beginning, a lot of stuff that they showing to you that's generic to give you perspective of the people. But the plot is, I don't know, maybe the plot will become better. Maybe something will get better. I don't know. And the worst part, this is purely currency money sucking tool, because really the way how you're supposed to choose with the community, you're voting with virtual money. And as you probably have guessed from this, they obviously selling you this virtual money. You're buying.
It's really strange. I thought it's more like advertisement, like marketing piece for bigger Silent Hill games, like just gain some tractions, keep it like in media. It's strange that they choose to monetize it, especially considering like it's probably not a huge money they will get from it.
Oh yes, it's really strange. And this is one screen, so that I'm showing. On top of the videos, I give you small puzzlers. And on this screen, you have like 4 or 5 puzzlers. Majority of them are actually locked behind the season pass. So not only you have to buy currency, you actually can buy season pass.
It feels a lot of like experiment, like, okay, let's try this monetization model to see how it works. What's strange for me is they just use Silent Hill brand for that one, not some no-name game. Or maybe there are some games already that use this and went well.
Yes, that's indeed strange for me as well. And just look on this, what you see right now on the screen is a puzzle that you need to solve. And the graphic in puzzles even worse than the graphic is main game. The puzzles are usually stupid, borderline, horrible from the graphic implementation. It's just unbelievable how bad it is. If it would be B-level game, sure, like they tried. But AAA, it's just, I don't know. I'm so disappointed. I love the franchise, so I'm really disappointed. It's so sad for me. Anyway. Okay, I think the second topic is from you. I think I shared everything about Silent Hill session. I highly unrecommend you. I honestly stopped going to the game after second day. The second day was the end for me. I never opened the game more than that.
That's a right way to do if you don't like it. Why to continue?
True, but first of all, I really, really love the franchise, and I wanted to give it a second chance. Maybe I will try, but I don't know.
Maybe like a large game that they prepare will be good. Who knows?
Hopefully, because it's actually different studios. All these projects are done by different studios, so I really hope that's yes. You are hopefully right. Okay, before jumping the main topic of the day, you have one Homebridge plugins. Tell me, what is that?
Oh, the topic was actually, so I have this home setup where I use Apple HomeKit to control stuff. Because it has nice interface, it has built-in on all Apple devices, it's pretty nice. The issue with Apple HomeKit, it has a limited set of devices you can buy and attach to it. For example, like you can attach Google Nest thermostat, like one of the really popular. Another like smart bulbs, like smart devices, all home devices. Some of them compatible, some not. And there is a tool called Homebridge, which is essentially server that you run on your Synology or Raspberry Pi or anything, which does this. It essentially becomes a bridge. It gets some device that's not compatible with the HomeKit, then provides connect from one side to this device and from another side to HomeKit, and then you get your device on your HomeKit. For example, I have a LG TV. It doesn't really connect to HomeKit, but I was able to make them through Homebridge, and I, for example, can turn on and off, change channels, and do other stuff on TV from HomeKit. And recently, I needed an interesting feature. So I have these surveillance cameras from Synology that I want these cameras only work when I'm not at home. Like when I came to home, they should go to standby mode. When I leave my home, they should be turned on.
Okay.
And Synology actually provides application for mobile, which tracks your connection to home Wi-Fi and decides, okay, you're not connected to Wi-Fi, let's turn on cameras. And it works horribly. It doesn't really know are you at home or not if you just turn off Wi-Fi. And plus, if you don't get your phone and just walk with a watch or something, it doesn't really understand. Plus, it have no idea how to work with the multiple people, right? Because with cameras, I want, okay, when everyone left home, they should turn on, and when someone when someone get back to home, they should turn off. And I wanted to find a plugin between Homebridge and for that one. Didn't find any nice one, so I decided to write myself. And I was surprised how easy it is to do. It uses JavaScript API, and it just like really like maybe 100 lines of code. Most of them, like a comments, spaces, and so on. But essentially just you can write an app with like a program which creates a virtual button, and then you can turn on and off. And what's good about like when you have this button in your HomeKit, then you can apply HomeKit automation, which was much more powerful and smarter than, not powerful, but it's very like a smarter on what it's doing, especially people leaving and coming. Yeah. So yeah, Homebridge is really nice. It has a lot of plugins and easy to work. So I think it's pretty much required when you use HomeKit for home automation. Otherwise you will be locked to very few vendors.
Nice. I wonder if it's somehow, I probably will see if it's compatible with Simple Safe. Actually, Simple Safe.
If they provide any API, probably.
Hopefully, complete Homebridge plugin for Simple Safe 3. Ooh. Okay, so this is effectively someone third party have implemented this, and hopefully it works.
A lot of plugins people just create for you, so you can use them.
Got it. Interesting. To be fair, I probably would be a little bit not a suspicion, but I need to do the source code audit to connecting this to a security system, home security system.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking, especially if it's like a complex one. But I believe, again, if Simple Safe has a simple API to connect, you can really, like, the plugin itself will be very easy to investigate. Surprisingly, Homebridge even allows things like cameras to pipe their videos to HomeKit. For example, I have a Ring camera and from previous owner, and I don't have like a base station. And I didn't want to buy, but apparently I was able to just connect it through Homebridge. It doesn't work very well. There is a significant delay when you start stream. But for for cameras that didn't work at all, and now it works with HomeKit, it's pretty nice.
Got it. That's interesting. I wonder if Simple Safe also have some exposure for all the devices. If devices that provided by Simple Safe also have exposure for some sort of APIs. I don't know. Maybe
it doesn't need to be devices. It can be even their like a public API with if you set up it. Because Homebridge, like what Homebridge does is essentially like plugin which can connect to API and then provides API for HomeKit. And how it's connected doesn't really matter. It depends on plugin to plugin.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense. Anything else about the Homebridge that might be?
Not really. We can go.
The main topic of the day, and the main topic is OpenAI Dev Day. They have an amazing, huge event. OpenAI just shows tons of the new stuff around the ChatGPT. It's probably the biggest event, I wanted to say of the year, maybe of the year. And without even jumping on what they have introduced, they start behaving like they're Google or Apple. So in the beginning, they have this
conferences and other stuff.
Yep. In the beginning, they usually would have this diverse set of people who would tell how they're using ChatGPT for their sake. By the way, my friend, have you watched the invite? Oh, they went.
Not really.
It's really okay.
I read through their like a page, but I was hoping you will tell me like most important parts.
Of course. Okay, so let's go quickly. Actually, not quickly. Let's just start going one by one. So the first thing that they announced is GPT4 Turbo, which has smaller latency, faster. So it's effectively much faster in response on the API side, obviously in UI side. The second part is actually can process, I think, either 2 or 4 times bigger, depends on which. There was two. Yeah.
So this turbo, its latency is lower. Is there any impact on quality, or they just make it faster?
So this is where we need to be really careful, because OpenAI is not that open. What I mean by that, there is theoretically no such thing as GPT-4 or GPT-3.5. It's a product, because there is already a lot of discussions that under the hood they're trying to apply some logic. They're trying to figure out which actual model would be more suitable for you to answer your question. And in reality, like, no one guarantees you that because it's the same model.
I remember with GPT-3, I think it was the case, right? There was GPT-3 and GPT-3 Turbo, and Turbo was faster, but they say, hey, it may not give you as much as greatest responses.
Here, honestly, I don't remember if they made the same caveat, because yes, with 3.5 there was this caveat. I don't think if they made this caveat with Turbo, and the reason why I'm not sure, because even in UI they no longer give you an opportunity to switch to non-Turbo. They just give you Turbo by default. So it looks like they saying that this is our model now, period. And the second, two other part about that specific model. One, they have 2 or 4x bigger context. 2 or 4x because previous model also have 2 big one and small one. So this time it's 2 times bigger, and realistically it will cover anything you want. 190k tokens is like a book. It's like really big book that you can feed to it, and it will just work. For many cases, more than enough. Previous model was not enough to cover our podcast, for example. It was barely squeezable into the context. Now I think it will be more than enough to cover our podcast.
They mentioned 300,000 tokens, I think.
Not the one 190k, okay, 300,000 tokens, and roughly you can divide by 3 to understand how many words. Roughly, that's very rough estimation. So it's minimum the 100,000 of words that you will be able to feed, probably more. And it's cheaper. So this model that is faster, has bigger context, is much cheaper than a slower context model. So that's the third part. They cut the prices drastically.
I'm curious, did they cut it as a, just to take loss, to get like ahead of everyone, which probably not the case, or did they actually optimize it so much that it's cheaper now?
It's a good point. I honestly do not know. I think it's optimized because realistically, since they are now under Microsoft, this could potentially be a problem with monopoly laws, because they will be using money to kill the competitors and then start bumping the prices. I don't think it's actually allowed, but I don't know, honestly. And like no one knows, so who knows? So that was the most boring part. That's they started saying, okay, here you go. Now they start. The second part of the event was the most interesting, at least for me. So they have released several parts. Let's start with what they call the GPTs. So GPTs is effectively an interesting concept. It includes several parts. So it allows you to create your own pre-prompt, provide it to the GPT, and create endpoint that users can use to get the GPT with your pre-prompt embedded, but they obviously will not see. So now in pre-prompt, you can say, oh, you are the logic that enhance tweets. Users will be coming to you to give you a tweet text, and you're supposed to enhance it in this and that way.
But is it only pre-prompt? So they also have like some additional training on these things? Because pre-prompts looks like many other like websites doing, hey, here's your prompt, just paste it and use it.
Correct, but so yeah, there is more, but not the training. So there is no training there. It's just purely pre-prompt, but there is several bots. They clearly just killing those sites. So now, before you had to have a service like T4Me, right? We have this T4Me.io. This is a very classical example of old way of doing so. You're coming here, you're giving a text, or text of your tweet. You're picking up how you want to rephrase it, like Elon Musk or Hannibal Lecter or Kant or whatever, and this will do it. In reality, this service T4Me.io is no more than just a proxy in between GPT user that that hides from the user super prompt, because this super prompt is actually several pages long. So you literally have several pages, and this is a modern world secret information. This is the actual business value right there in that super prompt. So now you can go to GPT. And by the way, this specific service already have its GPT, where you can go and you will talk through this super prompt to a GPT without having access to super prompt. And you will get the same result effectively.
I see.
That's why they mentioned that they killed so many services, because majority of the services were building the whole businesses around these proxies that are now dead. This is an interesting part, because this is maybe what you mentioned about the training, because you can give it access not only to pre-prompt, but to documents. You can actually upload to it PDFs, you can give it some documents there. And I, for example, have converted my UODP blog post into 300 pages PDF, give it to it, and created a GPT that can coach you on UODP because it has access to the...
Why? Oh, okay. So I see. You give just a question: why PDF and not just copy paste your text?
So pre-prompt. So it's effectively have three parts. Part number one, pre-prompt. Pre-prompt is about creating personality. We're saying you are the coach. Here is the audience. Here is how you should behave. Here is how you should ask questions. Then you're giving materials. Materials right now it's actually only PDF links. Like you are giving PDF docs, and this is material that it should consult when it's answering the questions from the user. So you have personality, you have the materials, and the third part, you can actually attach plugins, what used to be known as the plugins. So you can, I just finished migrating my movie detector, and it has a plugin that preserves in database information about any movie that you have watched. And then if you ask, recommend me something, and go to that database, loads everything that you have watched before with your comments, and recommends you movie based on your previous preferences. So this is the third part, APIs.
I see.
So this is the three things. And when you're providing these three things together, it creates your personal ChatGPT with a pre-prompt additional secret knowledge that no one else have access to, and ability to take actions through the plugins. Here you go. That's effectively amazing thing. And if we are not speaking about the plugins specifically, if we're only speaking about pre-prompt with personality and secret data, anyone can do it. Like you can literally go in and create it through the wizard without writing a code, zero code.
Okay, so essentially, and it will be available for other ChatGPT users.
Exactly. Yes. Today it's already available through the link. So for example, because you have to have a subscription, I will not be able to show how it looks inside, but let me at least send you. So here is a cocktail mixer. This is the idea that Dima once had. So if you would be logged in, this stuff allows you to upload the picture of your bar and will tell you cocktails that you can create from it.
They killed our business, which wasn't even started.
Dude, I created the GPT. So technically we're still in the game, my friend. We're still in the game. But yes, they killed one of our businesses. So there is several important things to mention here. One, what you said about discoverability. So yes, this is a link, but so far there is no discoverability. So except this link, there is no way anyone can discover this plugin. They are planning to release a marketplace where you will be able to finally find, use, rate, and reshare. So discoverability is coming. But the second part that is quite important, because this is everything hosted on ChatGPT platform, monetization. So they're planning to monetize it to the revenue share. The same how Twitter is doing so today. On the Twitter, if you are the paid subscribed user and you have more than I think 5,000 followers, you can get a revenue share from the revenue that the Twitter got of showing ads on your tweets. You can get percentage of that back.
But what will they show? Advertisement, or they use user data or something?
No, this is just this is literally just the idea that if you post something that is popular, there are ads that been shown in usual way under your post. So they will share that revenue from those ads that will be showed actually irrespectively. Like if you're not subscriber and you just post something popular.
No, I'm not talking about Twitter. I'm mostly talking about ChatGPT model.
ChatGPT model is effectively these plugins available at least today only for Plus users. So it's
if people use them, they will share some revenue.
Exactly, yes. So if you have a plugin that,
I'm really curious, how are they doing or when they will start doing it, like to use user input, user prompts to actually make targeted advertisement.
Oh man.
Because it's not different from Google search, right? Like you search for something that Google chase you with advertisement all over the place. And now this traffic that went to Google before now goes to ChatGPT.
True. So let me share the idea that's relevant to that, and I would love to hear your feedback on that. So now that I have identification for Movie Maker, actually planning to create a generalized service that gives ChatGPT database. So whenever you will be using plugin that I have created, that plugin will have access to the same database that can be used by ChatGPT to save or store any data about you as a user. So Cocktail Mixer theoretically should have access to some of the data from Movie Maker or whatever. It can access the data about you that you obviously provided to ChatGPT in other places when you chatted with that. So now, first of all the plugins will obviously be better about you because they will know more about you and they can revise picture about you. But now the database is effectively have data about people that the people gave to the plugin. And obviously, I'm not going to sell it because currently, as of right now, all my plugins has a privacy that says that I'm not reselling anything, I'm not sharing it, I'm anonymizing it. But theoretically, in the future, you can convert it and for any future users say that, oh, if you want to monetize your data, go here because we already have your data. Give us permission, we'll start monetizing and giving you revenue share. Let me shut up on this point. How do you like the idea?
Very dystopian. But I like it's opt-in. I always up to like I'm fine with all this advertising and other things if they opt in.
True, but the biggest problem with even opt-in today that imagine that Google would like cookies, right? Cookies become opt-in thing, but you still cannot monetize it. There is no services where you can say reject cookie, accept cookie, or I accept only if you will pay me. Here, this is exactly the path that would be interesting to discover.
That's part of Black Mirror, Keep watching.
Yes, I agree with you. Okay, coming back to OpenAI, that's actually not all. This thing that killed half of the market, that's just the beginning. There was one more thing. That one more thing is actually quite cool.
Okay.
So the biggest problem with what I just described, that any actions are taken by the backend, they need to write the complex logic with authentication. Now they introduce Assistant API. Assistant API, OpenAI, and I will try to explain what is that. So Assistant API is effectively programmatic way of creating your own chatbot. So in theory, when they first looking at this product, it feels like exactly what I just described, but programmatic. So you can call a message, get a response, which is true. It's just kind of the same thing, but for programmatic access. But here is a catch. When you're using Assistant API, you can tell Assistant that here is the functions that my front end have access to. So for example, you can say that my front end have actions to get the list of invites from Google Calendar, because on the front end, you actually sign in to the Google Calendar.
Okay.
Now you're sending chat message, and in chat, the assistant knows that you have access to this API. So at any point, it can give you the comment back saying, can you call this action, this function that you told me? And the ChatGPT actually guarantees that when you describe which functions you have access to, when it asks you to call, it will actually comply with your requirements. So you sending the ChatGPT signature.
When you say ask you to call, it's like when user chatting with natural language ask for something?
So this is for developers. So imagine that you as a user saying, can you summarize my day in TLDR? So this request goes to ChatGPT with the list of front-end available functions. ChatGPT sees the request. It sees this one of the functions that available on the front end says, list all the name of my day, my events in the calendar. It sends back command saying to the front end, execute this command. So the front end guts now executes on behalf of the user, because user in the browser have access to the Google Calendar, gets data from Google Calendar, go back through the Assistant API to ChatGPT saying, here is the results. Now ChatGPT has a user question, results of the function, and
it's similar to plugins, but in plugins ChatGPT calls some backend, and here it uses like a frontend. Is it correct?
Kind of, because if we're doing this with a Google Calendar, there is no intermediary service. If we're doing it through the plugin, I as a user have to attach plugin and authenticate on that intermediary service.
That's what I'm saying, right? It should be something in the middle.
Yes, okay, yes. Then
intermediate, intermediate, it's only because Google Calendar is not connected to ChatGPT. But if I use some other calendar which has a plugin for ChatGPT, but it's still like backend to backend.
But this plugin could be third party. So if someone have native plugin that you trust to that, yes, correct. But it's not a plugin, because a plugin will be but someone, and you need to trust that someone. Here, it's much simpler. And this is just a starting point, because you can do actually way more. Example that they showed live on the demo, they asked ChatGPT to pinpoint points of interest in some city.
Okay.
And they sent to GPT that they have a function of the front end to update Google Maps. So now it sent back text and sent back call to Google Maps update, and in live action on the Google Maps, they pinpointed places on the Google Map in live, because ChatGPT sent back how to call that function Google Maps. So while the ChatGPT has zero access to your map, it was able to call it, and now on the UI you have this part. So from the perspective of game building or any products like that, that's amazing, because you can tell here is a thing that available to you on the UI, like move my character should say blah, character should do blah, and then it will be calling those functions.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so this is amazing thing, and it's not only can call functions, actually can call chains of this. You can say, okay, here is 5 calls, call this, then that, then that, then that, which effectively will do the magic. Let me try to find, for at least people who are watching us, that specific piece. Okay, so for everyone who listening us, so this is exactly the thing. The guy asked, okay, where to go? And then on this question, the ChatGPT not only responsive with a list of places, it tells your front end to call particular function, and now you dynamically have pop up. This item just popped on the screen on the front end, and all this done without giving access to ChatGPT to anything. Which yeah, that's the LDR. I'm pretty sure we will see tons of the games with that.
It would be interesting.
Yes, go for
Actually,
it.
switching to games. If we, I don't know,
finished
with it.
Yes.
Because I think it's actually a good connection, or rather, I'm not sure like what. But recently we played with in Oculus, or rather MetaQuest 2. We played Dungeons of Eternity. And Dungeons of Eternity for me is really good signal that VR games became good games. What I'm saying, because I start VR from PlayStation VR, first one, like not from beginning, but I really was like looking at it and checking some games. And it was a lot of experimentation, and people who play it was mostly, I would say, these games was like most of the games were mostly playable for sake of playing VR. They weren't good games in terms of like feeling. There was some like exceptions like Half-Life Alyx, right? Or Beat Saber. But most of the games, while being simple, they also wasn't very satisfying. And Dungeons of Eternity is really interesting case because gameplay wise, it's very simple game. You go to dungeon with two of your friends and you hack and slash skeletons, zombies, some wizards. It doesn't have super amazing graphics. It doesn't have some extremely unique mechanics. It's something that you would see in regular games like 15, 20 years ago, even more, right? But for some reason, it feels so good, especially when you play with people, that for me, it's like, okay, now people got the idea how to make proper VR games. I'm pretty sure Dungeon of Eternity is not like a first one, like a good one. There are some other maybe. But now it looks like it's getting, okay, people finally got the idea how to make good VR game. And it's really exciting for me because now it actually get me back my trust in VR gaming. Because for me, my MetaQuest was in the dust for last like half a year or something. But you played with me like once for an hour. So what is your take? Like, did you like it or not? Like, what would you like to play more?
Definitely would like to play more. I loved it. It's so fun. It's just very simple. It's for me, it's almost like a Beat Saber, but for the proper. I wanted to say AAA game, but VR AAA game. This is how VR AAA game should be. I want to play more 100%. You know, the closest fun that I had that was not a multiplayer, single player was Resident Evil. They have a remake of Resident Evil available for Quest, which is also fun because you're shooting around, you using knife to kill people, but still not as fun because this one clearly with friends. VR still doesn't have enough good enough graphics for me to get an immersive story.
Yes, exactly. But when you play with friends, it's pretty much like playing any like offline game, right? Like you play football with you don't have really football feel. You just play football on the grass, and you satisfied with it because you play with real people, with friends. Yeah, this one really get to good point. You can play. Another actually for people who like play in MetaQuest or want consider to play but don't have friends or don't have good schedule to play with friends. There's actually another game called Broken Sword. It's a PvP dueling game. It's pretty interesting. So the game looks like this. You have fights with another real person.
Oh, wait, Broken Edge or Broken Sword?
Broken Edge, yes.
Oh,
Broken
okay.
Edge is correct. And it's one versus one. You play versus another character, and it has actually interesting mechanic. Instead of completely emulate your movements, like, in VR you can swing huge sword very fast, which is not really looks like real, and also it doesn't really works well in PvP because everyone just like mashing with these giant swords. This game found interesting pattern. You still can swing your sword, but it will not charge. To charge your sword, you need to make movements that really corresponds to type of sword you have. Is it like rapier? Is it like a huge like two-handed sword? Maybe like you have like two small daggers. And when you move them in a correct movement, then they start charging and getting even more damages and ability to kill your opponent. And it's really interesting because all fights here are very short. It's like maybe 5-10 minutes. Then you get to next person. And it's actually cool to see like random person, like making a bow before start fighting and like making some, like when you have a good hit, you can clap or something. It's really cool community there.
Nice. So you definitely would recommend it. That's the idea, right?
So the thing is, I didn't play much of it. I play a few times. I really like it, but I never get like back to it. So maybe it's not that good. But for people who are looking for something like this, it's really interesting concept because I think they try to find a way to make PvP actually interesting in VR.
Got it. Yeah, it looks interesting, and everything that you said sounds interesting. We should try and play it sometime. Last time it was 3 of us. Looks like this requires 2 people.
Yeah, it's only need like 2 people, so it's dueling. We can try it.
Okay. Next time, absolutely, we should add it to the list. Game-wise, I actually wanted to come back. The only thing that I'm playing these days, which is Alan Wake. And, I haven't played anything new, but I have new things to say about Alan Wake 2. First of all, I recently have learned that this is one of the few games that using path tracing on the desktop PCs. Obviously, console doesn't support path tracing, but first of all, for our listeners who don't know, there are two ways how to make games better from the light perspective. Ray tracing, which is effectively tracing some of the direct paths of lights from the source of lights up to the point where light's hitting the surface. And there is a path tracing. Path tracing includes many additional. First of all, it has more rays that are tracing from the source of light. In addition, it's also tracing indirect source of lights. So in real life, you have a light that indirect. You have something that's bright, and from that bright object, you will have a light that's tracking other parts. And it has a noticeable difference. I would highly recommend on YouTube find X-ray versus path tracing. Obviously, it's not as big wow effect as X-racing created back in the day, but it's noticeable. It's noticeable. Path tracing, I think, will be the last stop of humanity to making it very look like a real world. And the second thing that now nothing about technical part, the gameplay. So I just realized something about the gameplay in the Alan Wake. Do you remember, my friend, having in Alan Wake 1, Control, or any other game, so to speak, you time to time have to find the artifact that will, for example, tell you where to go. In the opening artifacts, you can skip the text, and now you know where to go because it will show in the map place that you need to go, because now you learn from the text that key is in that room, and you're going to that room.
Okay.
So here, they actually found a way to force you to read. And
that sounds awful.
That sounds awful, but it's actually quite immersive, so to speak, and quite engaging. So you have that plays in your head, so to speak. There is when you're playing, you can go to your inner thoughts. And inside of your inner thoughts, you have this board where, like any detective, you can place artifacts on the board, connect them with the thread. In these movies about detective, where you have a board with tons of the threads between pictures, notes, and stuff like that. And if you found the artifact note that says, "Oh, the key for blah is inside room blah," you need to find on the board a question. Oh, where is the key from something? Then you understand that this is a node that you just found that maps to that question, map it, and only then your character like, oh, now I know where's this key because I just mapped the answer to the question and I will go there.
I hear there are like some issues with this approach. Like someone was he needed to find a heart or something, and he searched everything on location, doing like a pixel hunting, clicking everything, opening everything, and then after he googled and checked, and there was once you do this stuff, heart appear in the fridge, which the person checked many times before.
Occasionally, if you you have not realized how this works, yes, you're getting into this mod. I will try to show it meanwhile on the YouTube, but this is occasional. So the idea, you after the first or second try, you're realizing that the moment you're finding any artifact, you're opening your inner place and you're trying to see if this artifact gives you a clue or answer on any of the question that you had. And it's like with any games, when you're finding something that can be mapped on the board, it will show you the signal. Oh, you have something that mappable on the board. Click here to directly go there. Just clicking there, go there, mapping, and you've done. So you're doing it immediately. But the first several times, yes, if you have not paid attention to tutorial and you ignored it, you will be in the cases like that. Like what to do? There is no door that suddenly opens. But overall, I actually think this is extremely fun because you're way more immersed. You just cannot skip at least high-level reading about what's going on and why. You cannot just, walk your way through the map and have zero reading at all. So from that perspective, kind of love that. By the way, I cannot keep saying this is probably the most beautiful game I have seen in a while. I don't remember the game that was as beautiful as Alan Wake. It's just something. Anyway, that was from me about the games. I haven't played anything else. What are you playing these days, my friend?
Nothing really. I still need to finish Baldur's Gate. There is the Invincible game which waits for me, but I decided, okay, I will first finish Baldur's Gate 3, and when I finish it, Invincible probably will go to some discount or even free. So I'm trying to play games with discount these days because I have really huge backlog, and for me it's just easier because there was few games that I added a couple of years. I added them in Steam. As a wish list to play, and they was full price, but now just they go free.
By the way, right, I forgot that you. I was about to say, are you buying any discs with them? But I remember you have disc-less PS. That makes sense. That makes sense. Invincible is about what is it? It's survival game.
It's Isaac Asimov book, Invincible. And this game is completely related to that. That you same universe, same planet, and actually almost same. I didn't play, and I tried to avoid spoilers. But I think this game shows a time right before arrival. Invincible is a huge ship, and I think this game shows either time right after arrival or something, right before, or right after. But I'm not sure. I think it's maybe right before arrival of Invincible. But again, I try to not to spoiler, not to look at anything. No, I don't know yet. But I really looking forward to play this one. I think people compare it with the Firewatch, a walking simulator. And for me, it's really a really good sign. I like Firewatch as well.
Yeah, I actually +1 to that. I also liked Firewatch. By the way, I must say, if you like, sorry for it doesn't matter what game we start speaking about. I will go back to Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 is slow burner. What I mean by that the first several hours might feels like that because you're really literally walking around, talking to the people, doing tons of the walking around in very beautiful settings, talking to people, and then walking around again. It's just like that. Everyone telling me that it's slow burner, so it will be way more action later on. But I'm still waiting that later on. And actually, sorry, let me retract. There is 2 concurrent threads, one about Alan Wake, another about FBI Agent. FBI Agent is like that. Alan Wake, yes, action is usually, but FBI Agent is walking simulator so far for the first several hours at least.
As with Control for Alan Wake, I just wait when it will be free, in a year or two, and I will probably play it because I'm not that interested in it to pay for it. I'm not a huge fan, but once it gets free, I will play it and see. Okay, maybe I'll finish it, maybe I'll drop it, but I don't want to buy something and then regret that I dropped it.
Okay, by the way, we do have several questions, but Technically, I'm not buying it. If you remember, I mentioned that we at work have the special service that allow me to buy stuff. So technically, my employer buying games for me, which is thank you, my employer, for that. But otherwise, I probably will be in the same boat. Also, I do have an options to buy the hard copy, which allow me to resale. I really started liking this idea of buying hard copies because one of the things is you can resale.
That's true.
Before, do you have any other topics before going to a question?
No.
Because we actually have a question.
Yes, I would like to discuss this question. It's actually interesting.
Okay, so let me quickly translate the question. So people start protesting against artificial intelligence. Actors, especially actors who are doing voiceovers, design, AI just writing code. How do you think about future of GPT? My friend, do you have an opinion? I
actually want to pick one of these.
Go for it.
Voice actors. It's actually there are multiple really bad stories. One story happens in Russia. There was a very famous voice of a woman who make a lot of voice advertisement for a big company. I don't want to tell exact names. But she has really memorizable voice, and she make a lot of advertisements for a particular company. And this company actually asks you to sign a contract which says, hey, you've completely dropped all your rights for your voice. And it was actually many years ago when there was no AI. And back then, what it means is like, hey, whatever you write for us, we just like use it over and over again. And it was actually pretty standard practice, right? Like you make for company like some slogan and they just like go to TV, to radio, you don't really care. So they paid you money already. But with AI, what changed? That company actually started reusing your voice to generate new samples. Because initial contracts actually didn't really forbid that. It was like wording wasn't. And the worst part, it's not really that company overused it. That would be fine. The worst part is her data was leaked. And people start using her voice to voice over porno, like voice over other stuff. And that's really, really bad. You know, like it's like someone's voice like goes around and like abused a lot. I think it is really, really sad situation. And for that, I think what we need laws. Like right now we're in a situation when technology jumps like very fast and like companies and lawmakers, they're really slow to gather, right? And because people actually go to protests, people try to do like some noise about this. I think it goes to lawmakers and they will try to do same that they do with anything else, right? Like if you make characters that looks like Mickey Mouse, even if you draw it yourself, right? Like Disney will come for you and will sue you. You may say as much as you want, like, hey, I draw it myself, it doesn't really matter. If judge sees that your characters completely reminding Mickey Mouse, you will be sued, like, right? It will be. I think that same could go to voice actors, right? Is voice actor like using voice and someone abuses voice? Companies can, it still will not like completely prevent harmful usage, but the same way, like no one actually can stop, fanfics, like adult porn fanfics of some characters, right? It's happening. But I think like some laws should be established as like for any other properties. And I think also people now realize when they do voiceovers, when they give rights for their faces, for example, they need to make it very clear in contract how this will be used.
Yeah, I agree with you, and there is a huge sad part on that note. So a lot of big AI companies, recently there was AI safety summit that Elon Musk went to, they are actually advocating for exactly the same thing. Like we need more laws, we need more government intervention. But the worst part about this, that honestly can go many, many different ways. This probably will mean that small players will be killed.
No. So what they going to do? They trying, like Elon Musk and OpenAI, they trying to just remove competitors. They try to make laws about AI. Who can do AI? Like
yes.
I'm saying completely, like I'm not saying about AI. This has nothing to do with AI. Imagine like someone collect our voice from podcast, completely manually, without any AI, just pick different sounds and then to make a library of sounds and then start collecting them into words and making like advertisement. Right? We should have a right to go and sue this person because they like this person using our voice. And if it can be proven that they're using our voice, we can sue them. This situation doesn't really include any AI. And AI here just like a tool they may use.
True, but the problem here that rises is the following one. Our voices, unless we will relicense them, and we might think to relicense them, actually can be used for the sake of the training. Because keep in mind that training is not creating. So you can take our voices, train the model, absolutely legally, unless we actually will relicense our YouTube videos and podcasts, which we, by the way, need to think about really, really fast how the new license should look like, and start saying this license at the beginning. And then that AI technically can generate voice that might be not exactly yours, not exactly mine, but like everyone will.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like AI here is actually implementation detail. You can train your neural network on tons of Mickey Mouses, and then it will give you a picture of Mickey Mouse, right? Maybe slightly different.
Yes.
Judge won't dig in, like, did you write it yourself by copying? Was it like, they just judge, does it really look like Mickey Mouse? If it does, you fucked. And the same should be for voicing, right? Like someone train AI on your voice. If output is completely different, they just use, like some non-memorizable, like, patterns, like maybe pauses, right? You can do anything. It's pretty much just, there's no way to trace it, right? If what the output remind people of your voice, and like if you get like random 10 people from the street and say, hey, do you really hear a difference from these two voices? So whoever makes this voice need to either present a person with the same voice or they fact. And that's how it should be, regardless of AI and non-AI.
True, I agree with you. The reason why I'm coming back to AI in this question, because I agree, AI, as you rightly put it, AI is just a tool, no question there. The reason why I'm coming back to the AI, if AI is not controlled, and to be honest, I actually don't think there is a way, there is theoretical, you can delay this point, but anyway, if it's not controlled, anyone will be able to retrain this model respectively with the licensing, which means that you just will no ability to stop that. Sure, big companies will not be able to use your voice, but so what? If you would have tons of the open sources that will be using your mine voice.
Yeah, again, it doesn't really, again, I'm using free Photoshop, well, not Photoshop, like free imaging editor and making something. It's about ending, right? Obviously, there will be a situation when someone use your voice or my voice for making fun comedy or not fun comedy, and they distribute it as a torrent file. We will probably have hard time chasing them because there's no company. If someone like making business or selling stuff, then there is a legal entity that we can sue.
Yes, and everyone's saying moving towards let's regulate the tool, because it's if I would be to exaggerate, and this is not the real example, just exaggerating, it's like having ability to build a nuclear bomb at home. It doesn't matter if the law prevents you from doing so. If you have an ability, you have tons of the people who will do it and who will detonate that. So everyone in AI trying to sell AI exactly this way. If we are not going to stop,
I think it's very, it's exaggerating, but it's also incorrect analogy, because weapon of mass destruction creates like huge harm to whole society, right? Like someone completely not involved. But here we're saying, okay, someone can be harmed by other entities, and we need this person to give protection. But it's, I can't really come up with a good analogy to this one besides just any other legal copies and things. If someone call your parents and pretend to be yourself, right, with a voice, without AI, right?
Yep.
And making like with a child, it happens all the time, right, with people. And we came up with protection for this, right? We don't ban messengers. Well, some countries try, but we don't ban messengers, right? Because someone can pretend to be you for your grandma. Like AI is just next step, and I don't think it's like really on the scope. It's comparable to nuclear bomb.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. And okay, I want to touch base a little bit on the other angle of this question, because there was a second question, or the second part of the question was if the AI will eliminate jobs. And first of all, yes, of course. I don't think it's anyone questioning there. AI will eliminate tons of the jobs, and OpenAI with GPT4 will keep doing it, and GPT6 and so on, so on, so on. But here is at least my mind model that I have. The people can be, to some extent, grouped on people who decided to be a tool and people who decided to be a problem solver. Tool is the people that usually know, here is my field that I know, and they only grow deeper in that specific field. So think about body shop of outsourced developers. You have to have a very clear task for them with a very clear input outputs, and they will do the code for you, they will do the coding. So those type of people, we're already witnessing more and more of such tools, quote unquote, are actually getting to be eliminated. Where I don't see human be eliminated completely in any foreseeable future, at least not in our lifespan, I hope, is glue. This is the people who are solving the problem, because to solve the problem, you need to understand that you need 15 sub-problems need to be solved that need to be glued together. Some of this problems need to be solved with physical device, and you organizing the solution, putting them together, and releasing the product.
I actually have maybe somehow. I don't think it will eliminate jobs, and I explain what I mean. I think eliminating jobs, it should be some cardinal changes in environment to do this. For example, imagine there are like some inner huge lake, and there are fishermen who go, they catch sea fish and then sell it. Now imagine government or society came there and say, hey, this beautiful lake really harmed by fishermen or fish, and we vote so no fishing will be allowed in this lake for next 50 years. So these fishermen, they don't have any, like they have only boats. It's only lake in 1,000 miles, so they have to completely restructure what they're doing and start doing anything else or move to completely different place. So this is eliminating jobs. When we're saying like before, people have to put nails with a hammer into wood, right? And there was like 10 people. Now they have like automatic tool to make it faster. Sure, you need less people building something, but we just build more, like in the housing. And I think the same with the ChatGPT, right? There are tasks that we need a lot of people right now to do. And then these people will be more effective. We just start making more of this. Obviously, could be some borderline, small things, there are people who solve captchas. Literally, but these people don't really they do solve captchas every day for some small price. But next they just switch to something else, not solving captchas, but instead, for example, labeling 3D LiDAR videos with AI. It's more complex job, it requires more tooling, but they just switch to it because it's very similar to what they're doing.
Yes, I actually buy your argument. I agree with your argument, but here is the underlying premises that need to be satisfied, so to speak. So let's have a very simplified example. You have a cloud provider that trains a model, or provide. Actually, let's go simpler. You have a cloud provider that provides you a place where you're running your shop, like Amazon.com. You're selling your things, and in this universe there is only two shops: Shop A, Shop B. Let's assume that ChatGPT automated the development. So you have a body shop of people that used to support this intermediary provider that writing updates both to the shops. Now, suddenly 90% of the workforce from that place got eliminated. There is no need. So theoretically, they can now support more shops. They can be more productive. They can rehire those 90% and improve the productivity. But you need to have some time for the society to adjust and have more Elon Musks who would be creating more products that would be required and improve workforce. Because if you only have two shops and you suddenly requires...
But you're getting this artificial situation with only two shops, right?
Yes.
There are very few areas on this world where very specific people work, and if company like NASA is closer, then so many people let go who don't know what to do. Probably not the case. They're probably too smart to be without. But most of the things they actually replicated around the world. Sure, salary will be dropped, income will be dropped, more competition will be there. But having super drastic changes, at least ChatGPT needs to make something bigger than ChatGPT.
Yes, but the reason why I draw this picture, this is actually what happens in the budget editorial services and the budget image creation services. There are tons of the company that lay on people that used to write a bullshit 2-paragraph articles and very low quality pictures for the different websites. Those people are laid off en masses right now. And this rule of that company now can serve more customers doesn't work because they cannot find more customers. Sure, the people that got laid off, they will create startups. Some of them will be forced to create startups. And eventually they will produce companies that will be placing more orders, and hopefully everything will normalize. But what I'm trying to say that this normalization takes years, because many of those people will lose a job, they will not have money, and for them it will be the end, unfortunately. But sure, the next generation will hopefully normalize it faster. That's my point, because the amount of orders will not go 10 times bigger overnight. It's just not working like that. But the amount of workforce will be reduced 10 times overnight. And these two facts will create a huge problem for I don't know how many years.
It's actually interesting, we don't have the statistics, and I don't know how to get it, but how many people doing work that can be replaced with AI, right?
Eventually, all of
Everyone
us.
should just go and start building houses.
Elon Musk building robot that can physically do jobs, and eventually
That one we need to make a law to ban.
yes. I agree. Yes. Anyway, I think we're more than 1 hour in. What do you say we stop here and we move to post show and we'll start brainstorming session?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Okay, so let me find the place where I need to click the buttons. Thank you, everyone. We will talk to you same place next week.
Bye-bye.
Okay, recording is done, but not live. Let me also stop live. Sorry, folks, there will be no post show today because we need to brainstorm something that we will keep secret. By the way, 5 people watching live. Interesting. Interesting. Thank you, folks, and bye-bye.